Hey everyone, I'm David Weber, broker and operating manager of State Property Management, serving Orlando and the greater Central Florida market. Today I want to talk to you about something that gets a lot of landlords into trouble. Not intentionally, but simply because they didn't plan ahead. How much should I set aside for repairs, maintenance, and major expenses on my rental property? It's one of the most important questions you can ask if you want to protect your investment and keep your rental business profitable, especially here in Florida where heat, humidity, and tenant wear and tear are very real factors. So in this video, we'll walk you through the difference between repairs and capital expenses, how to approach budgeting in today's market, not just using generic online formulas, what types of costs we're seeing most often in the homes we manage, how to avoid getting blindsided by big expenses, and how to build a monthly reserve strategy that actually works. Let's get started. All right, step one is foundational. You've got to understand the difference between routine repairs and capital expenses. There's a big difference between routine repairs and maintenance. Things like leaking faucets, drywall patches, AC tune-ups, or a broken microwave. And then there's capital expenses, which are those major long-term items. Things like roofs, HVAC systems, full paint jobs, flooring replacements, replacing a full set of appliances. Now here's the key. Repairs are operating expenses, part of your year-to-year cash flow. However, CapEx is long-term. You may not see it this year, but it's coming. If you lump it all together, you're not budgeting properly. And when a big item hits, it'll feel like a financial emergency. Let's move to step two, rethinking the 1% rule. Now, if you read books or forums on real estate investing, you've probably heard the classic rule of thumb: set aside 1% of your property value each year for maintenance. So if your property is worth $400,000, that would mean $4,000 per year, or about $333 per month. Sounds simple, right? But let's be honest, in today's Florida market, with prices as high as they are, that number can feel pretty aggressive. A brand new $500,000 home probably isn't going to need $5,000 in repairs every year, but a 25-year-old home with original systems might need more. So here's what we tell our clients. Use the 1% rule as a starting point, not the final answer. Adjust based on your property's age, condition, and how it's being maintained. Now for step three. Evaluate the age of your major systems. At State Property Management, we manage hundreds of homes across Central Florida. And here's what we typically see when it comes to lifespan. For roofs, 15 to 20 years, and that's for shingle, and up to 30 years for tile or metal. HVAC systems, 10 to 15 years, especially if they're serviced regularly. Water heaters, 8 to 12 years. Appliances, 7 to 10 years. And often they're replaced in batches, not just one. Interior paint, 3 to 7 years. And this really depends on tenant turnover. If you have long-term tenants who care for the home, you may go years without painting. But if you're turning the home every 12 to 24 months, expect to repaint more often. Understanding where your property is in that life cycle helps you plan instead of react. Now, before we move to the next step, let me quickly share how we handle this at State Property Management. This isn't something we leave to chance. We work with each owner to evaluate their home systems, review past repair history, plan for upcoming capital items, and build realistic monthly reserve targets. We even help track maintenance trends and upcoming lifespans inside our system. So you're not relying on memory or guesswork. If you'd like help building a reserve strategy for your home, visit www.managecentralfloridaproperty.com and schedule a free consultation. Let's keep going. Step four is something a lot of people miss. Don't overlook the little repairs that quietly eat away at your bottom line. You might be thinking, my HVAC is new, the roof is solid, I don't need to budget much. But the truth is, it's often the small repairs that catch you off guard. I'm talking about faucet leaks, toilet handles, outlet or switch replacements, garbage disposal jams, light fixtures, minor plumbing or drain clogs. These things seem small, but when they're happening every other month and you're paying a licensed vendor or handyman, the costs add up. We often see single-family homes incur $1,000 $2,000 per year in small but necessary fixes. You've got a budget for these just like you do for the big stuff. Step 5 is all about the risk. What happens if you don't set aside enough for maintenance and CapEx? We've seen it too many times. Good people with good homes who get blindsided by a $4,000 HVAC replacement, delay a necessary roof patch, and end up with interior damage. Lose a great tenant because they couldn't afford to make timely repairs. It's not just about cost, it's about cash flow stability, tenant retention, and long-term asset value. If you're operating too close to the edge, one unexpected repair can wipe out half your year's profits or more. And if you're managing multiple properties without a reserve plan, you're basically gambling. Let's wrap it up with step 6. You want to build a simple, consistent reserve strategy. Now here's a framework that works well for most of our owners. Number 1, look at your property systems. How old is the roof? How old is the HVAC system? How old is the water heater? Number 2, estimate replacement timelines and costs. You can use rough averages if you need to. Number 3, divide those amounts over time and add in a buffer for routine repairs. Number 4, set aside that amount monthly into a separate reserve account. And number 5, adjust annually based on actual spending. Now here's a sample breakdown. Say $1,500 a year for normal repairs, $800 towards the HVAC, $700 towards the roof, $500 towards appliances. Now that's about $3,500 per year, or roughly $290 a month. And this puts you in a much safer position long term. So here's the bottom line. Budgeting for repairs and capital expenses is one of the smartest things you can do as a landlord. You don't want to be the one caught off guard by something you should have seen coming. And if you're not sure where to start, or you want a second opinion on your current reserve plan, we're here to help. Visit www.managecentralfloridaproperty.com and let's set up a time to talk. And hey, if you found this video was helpful, give it a like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. I'm David Weber. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.